When my story starts, I was just 20 years old. I was still living at home as I was a student at my local university and my student loan did not pay for much. My first semester at uni was going well and my grades were decent. I was studying an economics degree. I was an average-looking guy and I was about 5'10" with my mother's blonde hair and my dad's skinny body, but the girls didn't seem to mind. My current girlfriend was called Heather. Now I have two siblings, my brother Andrew, who was 17 at the time my story starts, and his twin sister Emma, who obviously was also 17. The three of us had been left home alone, as our parents had taken advantage of the fact that I was now old enough to look after my siblings and they were probably old enough to be left alone anyway. Naturally, we were looking forward to having the house to ourselves and we had parties planned. Mom and Dad were no idiots and knew we would be having parties, so they told me that it was important that these parties did not get out of hand. I was told that I had to ensure that we tidied up afterwards so that when they got back there would be no trace of the parties we had held. For around a week, things went fairly well, although we did argue about who would do which chores. As I was in charge, I perhaps assigned more chores to my younger siblings than I did myself, but I had to be careful to be seen to be doing my bit, as otherwise they would gang up on me. A couple of nights after Mom and Dad left, we had planned to go out, but it was a cold, rainy night and we all decided we would stay in. Andrew suggested a game of poker. I was ahead by a bit when Andrew suggested we try to make it a bit more interesting by agreeing that the two losers would do whatever the winner said for the next 7 days. I was confident that I would win the game and fancied getting my younger siblings to do my share of the housework. So I suggested that instead of just the next 7 days, we made it the entire length of time Mom and Dad were gone. Emma was always quite fearless, and a bit of a tomboy, so she agreed to my proposal immediately. If she had not done so, Andrew, who was a lawyer in the making, might have negotiated me down to half the time, but he was not going to back out now his sister had committed. This was something of a pattern. He was naturally cautious, but if his sister did something risky, he would do it too. Although he was cautious, he was a bad poker player, so Andrew was soon out. I would usually beat Emma, but I was overconfident and ended up losing. Over the next couple of days, Andrew and I did Emma's chores and we found ourselves having to watch romantic comedies instead of the football or the action films we preferred. It was rather odd, as Emma would not usually watch romantic comedies. She said she would be inviting some of her friends over for the next weekend, presumably to let them enjoy watching her boss us around, I remember thinking. But I either forgot all about it or just simply concluded that it need not stop me going on a date with Heather. However, on Friday morning, as I was clearing up breakfast, Emma reminded me that she had told Andrew and me to make no plans for the weekend as she was expecting us to help when her friends came over. While I was planning to go on a date with Heather, surely it would be enough if Andrew helped? I suggested hopefully. Whether he would or not, I would not be able to trust you to keep your word if I let you do this. A bet is a bet, Emma reminded me, handing me my phone. Emma watched, smiling, as I called Heather and explained that I would not be able to come on our date tonight because I had forgotten that I had agreed to help Emma. Heather sounded disappointed. "Give me your phone," Emma said. I handed it to her. Emma turned off my phone and went into her bedroom with it before coming back to the kitchen without it. Then Emma said, "I'm glad that's sorted. Let's get you girls ready. Take off all your clothes, Carrie." "What?" I asked dumbly. I was worried that Emma was expecting Andrew and I to spend the whole weekend wandering around the house naked. Was that why she invited her friends over? "You heard me, big brother," Emma said aggressively. I said, "Take off your clothes. Right here, right now." But a bet is a bet, Kara. This was getting repetitive, but Emma had a point. I just could not go back on my bet. It just was not something any of us would do. I would get my revenge, I told myself as I took off my trainers and then my jumper and t-shirt before removing my jeans. I was now standing before Emma in my boxer shorts. Okay, sis, now what? Didn't you hear me, Kara? I said take off all your clothes. But I did, and oh. I said, realizing that she meant my boxer shorts. I had not been naked before my sister since we were small kids. Oh, yes, she giggled, take them off, Kara, just like I said. Please, Emma, this is silly, don't make me dash, Kara, Emma said to me firmly. I said take it all off. Now. Blushing like a tomato, I sighed and slid my boxer shorts off, covering my manhood with my hands. I let my boxer shorts fall to the floor. I kicked them away. I was standing stark naked in the kitchen. I suddenly felt really vulnerable. I could not remember ever experiencing such a feeling of more total humiliation, but Emma was clearly enjoying it. I decided it was time to face my fears. Emma, you're not planning to keep me naked all weekend, are you? Of course not. Well, not this weekend anyway. Don't worry, Kara. You will have plenty of clothes to wear. I breathed a sigh of relief and followed her upstairs to the bathroom. There I saw that she had cans of shaving foam and a couple of pink disposable ladies' razors, and she ordered me to get in the bath and shave wherever she put shaving foam, which was pretty much everywhere save for a small V, well, you can guess where, and the hair on top of my head. Okay, Kara, let's get you dressed, Emma said, leading me to my room where I saw lying on my bed something worse than what I had feared was about to happen. No way. You can't be serious. This isn't funny, Emma. I protested. Oh, but I am, and it is, Emma said. The outfit that I was expected to wear was a pink French maid's uniform with a white apron. This was with a pink silk bra with a lace trim, matching panties, a pink suspender belt and white seam stockings. Grateful to at least finally get to be putting some clothes on, I quickly stepped into my panties and had an immediate erection. It was obvious that I was turned on. Emma then explained to me how to put on my suspenders and stockings before putting me into my first bra. You're going to need to fill your cups, Emma said before putting 2 breast forms in my bra. All these clothes you bought me must have set you back a bit, I said. No, don't worry, it has come out of your student loan, Kara, here's your debit card back. Emma then zipped me into my dress before doing my makeup and fixing my hair. I looked at the woman in the French maid's outfit in the mirror because I was struggling to see her as me at all. Your first job as my maid, Kara, is to help your sister Andrea get ready, or in other words, you are to do to our brother what I have done to you whilst I get her outfit ready. So I was now dressed as a woman in a pink French maid's uniform as I gently shook my brother Andrew to wake him up. Andrew, it's time to wake up, sir, I said, trying to sound feminine and French. Let me sleep, Carrie, came a muffled voice from under the sheets before there were signs of life, and then a shout of what the hell. Andrew was awake now, and I could tell he had seen me as he rapidly sat up. Who are you, and what are you doing in my bedroom? Where did my brother go? Would you like to join me under the sheets? My name is Kara and I am your personal maid, and I am to help you bathe this morning, sir, I replied. Well, you do a good impression of my brother. He was studying my face until he read me. In fact, Carrie. What the hell are you doing? Emma insisted on it, sir, I responded by way of explanation. Wait, if she insisted on you getting dressed as a French maid and is calling you Kara, what has she got planned for me? And what is she planning on calling me? Andrea. I don't know, but you are going to be dressed in these, I said, showing him a black silk version of the lingerie I was wearing. I suspect if my lingerie is anything to go by, you will be wearing a more classic black dress with a white apron, sir. I set about shaving my brother, or rather I stood watching him. AMD directed him when he had missed a bit. By the time we had finished, Andrew was just like any other boy in black lingerie, waiting to meet his twin sister. Emma took him into his room. Naturally, it was not long before Andrea emerged from Andrew's bedroom in a more masculine, if that were possible for a French maid's outfit, version of the pink outfit that I was wearing. She was wearing the classic black French maid's dress. I looked at her. You look cute, Andrea, very professional. Thanks, Cara, and you look pretty in pink. We were 3 sisters now, but only 2 of us were in French maid's uniforms. What were we going to do when Emma's friends turned up? How were we ever going to live this down? There was no more time to think about this or form a strategy, as Emma told me to answer the door. I opened the door. Oh my God! I see Emma was not bullshitting us. She really did talk her big brother into a French maid's outfit. Look at you, Cara. You are so cute. It was Emma's friend Victoria. She pulled out her phone to take pictures of me. On previous occasions, Victoria had flirted with me. I do not know how to explain this, save sometimes you just know that the pictures were for her. I dodged a bullet by not dating him folder rather than her potential boyfriend folder. As if it was not bad enough immediately being read by Victoria, without even opening my mouth, I suddenly felt a gust of wind blow through the door and straight up my skirt, revealing, well, everything. In other words, Victoria got to see my stockings and suspenders and my panties. As soon as I realized what was going on, I reached down desperately to try to cover myself. I guess it's not such a man's world anymore, Carrie, is it? Victoria teased. What with the 2 men of the house dressed as French maids? It must get you thinking that maybe men are not so superior after all. What do you think? Are you able to think, now you have become a woman? I wanted to respond, but I was at a loss for words. I felt humiliated. So, I tried to change the subject. Victoria, I love that dress you are wearing. Let me show you through. Emma is nearly ready. But Victoria was not going to let me yet. So, Cara, what inspired you and Andrea to reveal your dirty little secret tonight? You know, that you are both crossdressers and love wearing women's clothes? Do you both really want to be girls? Are you women trapped in boys' bodies, or is it just a fetish? Is it because really you think that girls are superior to boys and that girls rule the world? It's no dirty secret, neither Andrea nor I would normally dress like this, I replied. So you have done it before then, Carrie? You must both like wearing women's clothes? I would never have guessed. Again I was lost, as I found myself asking myself, did I really like wearing women's clothes? It was not something I would have done by choice before, but now I was wearing these clothes. Did I like it? Did I like how the silk and nylon held me? Did I like the winds caress up my dress? Did I like wearing a dress? Did I like my makeup? Did I like my look in the mirror? Was this something I might do without being forced to do? Just then the doorbell rang. I went to open the door. As I did so, I wished I had not done so, as a look of horror crossed my face. It was Heather. I stood there frozen to the spot in my pink French maid's uniform. Heather looked stunning in her black leather dress and fishnets. She was wearing knee-length stiletto boots. Wow, Carrie, Heather said. When you said that you were not like other boys, I didn't realize that this was what you meant. You look hotter than me in your uniform. I am a bit upset that it was more important to you to dress up like this than come on a date with me. But I will try to be understanding. I have heard about people like you before. When you dress as a boy, do you feel like you are a woman trapped in a boy's body? This isn't your first time in a dress, is it? In a way, I felt relieved to have been read by Heather immediately, but at the same time I was frustrated that I looked so obvious. By way of explanation, I said, I am dressed like I am because of a stupid bet with Emma. I am not sure that I believe you, Carrie. Is that what I call you, or do you have a girl name? Heather responded. I am Kara now, I replied. Well, listen, Kara, sometimes you might be a bit sexist, but you are hardly the most macho boyfriend I have ever dated, especially now you are wearing a dress. You look like a natural woman, and I feel like asking you for makeup tips. I only read you because I knew that there were no girls of your size living here and that your sister has no friends of your size either. Let's say I will give you the benefit of the doubt, although it's a pretty large doubt, and say that I believe that you have never dressed as a woman before. Tell me, how do you feel about wearing women's clothes now? I am struggling with this, Heather. You see, at first it felt humiliating to shave my body and put on lingerie and to let my sister do my makeup. I thought that it was degrading for a boy to dress like a girl. But now that I am dressed, I am starting to enjoy the feeling of my lingerie against my body and little things like the feeling of the wind blowing up my skirt. Are you gay? Heather asked. No, I am not gay, but maybe I am trans, I answered. What do you think about me wearing women's clothes? It was a shock when you answered the door. I guess I could accept that you are one of the girls now, but I am not sure what I feel about dating another girl, even if she is a man dressed as a girl. It's new territory for me, but I am prepared to experiment, Heather said. Emma interrupted Heather. It's so nice of you to come to my party and to finally meet you. I have always felt that you have been avoiding me before. I'm Emma, Kara's sister, and don't believe everything my sister tells you about bets. She said the same thing the first time she put on my clothes. I was about to protest that this was not true, but the doorbell rang and I knew that I was expected to answer it. So I went to answer the door as Emma led Heather away from me out of my earshot. It was Rose, Salima, and Sarah. Oh, hello, said Salima. Emma did not tell us that she had hired maids. What's your name? Kara, I replied, astonished that neither Salima, Rose, or Sarah had read me. When I looked round, Emma and Heather had disappeared. A few moments later they reappeared. Heather was no longer wearing her leather dress, her fishnets, or her boots, but instead was wearing a pale blue French maid's uniform. On seeing that she was now wearing white silk hosiery, I assumed she was wearing pale blue lingerie and stockings. She had fixed her hair in a ponytail. Heather was blushing as Emma announced, "Girls, this is Heather, Carrie's girlfriend, or I should say Kara's. She wants you to call her Heath." You mean Kara is your brother? Salima asked Emma, astonished. She really had not read me. I could see that Heather was just as uncomfortable as I was when Emma dressed me, so I put my arms around her and tried to kiss her, but she pushed me away. I assumed it was because Emma had told everyone that I was dressed as a girl and that she was my girlfriend. Andrea, I want my 3 maids to pose for a photo, Emma shouted as Andrea was in the kitchen. Andrea appeared and Emma produced her mobile phone. What's wrong? I asked as Emma photographed us. Your sister is such a bitch, Heather whispered. What's Andrea done? I whispered back. Not Andrea, Emma, Heather replied. I thought you were getting on, I said. Listen, Kara, if I had a brother, I would not force his girlfriend to dress as a French maid against her will, Heather responded. You mean you didn't want to dress like this? I asked, genuinely puzzled. I would have expected you, Kara. in your French maid's uniform, of all people to understand that it is demeaning for a woman to be dressed as a male fantasy, a sex object. Your sister heard me tell you that I did not know what I felt about dating another girl, so she threatened to circulate pictures of you in your French maid's uniform to the entire student body and tell them that I was your girlfriend if I did not put on this uniform. Pink for a girl, blue for a boy, she said. Didn't you even hear her misgender me as Heath? Heather said. No, I missed that, I answered. But now all her friends know anyway, so even if your sister does not circulate the picture, there's no guarantee her friends won't. So my reputation is toast. Rumors will go round that I am a lesbian or that I like transvestites. And she said that she's keeping my favorite dress as she liked how I looked in it. Besides, I am not even sure what I think about dating a boy who dresses as a girl. As Heather was saying this to me, Emma flipped Heather's skirt so Victoria could photograph Heather and the other girls could see Heather's underwear. I stepped between them to try to stop Emma doing this, but that only resulted in Emma flipping my skirt. My protective boyfriend and knight in pink lingerie. Heather laughed at me as my attempts at protecting her backfired so spectacularly. You haven't quite got the hang of being a girl yet, have you, lover boy? With that last comment, she flipped my skirt herself, much to the amusement of Emma and her friends, and she seemed to start to form a bond with them despite being dressed like Andrea and me. At the end of the evening, Emma gave Heather a bag containing her boots and lingerie but not her dress. It had been some time since anyone had flipped my skirt, and I had, with the demands of acting as a maid, rather forgotten I was dressed as one when Heather asked me to walk her home. As a matter of course, I agree, having always walked Heather home from dates before. We were about to leave when Emma said that to thank us three maids the girls had clubbed together to buy each of us a gift. At that point, I remembered how I was dressed and realized that walking Heather home would mean going outside dressed as a French maid. We opened our gifts. We were each given a pair of 6-inch stilettos matching our dress, so mine were pink, Andrea's were black, and Heather's were blue. I am going to be walking you home in these, aren't I? I said to Heather. Yes, Cara, Emma had me lock your boys' shoes away, Heather lied. I was surprised after an initial wobble that walking in heels was not really all that difficult, but I was very nervous about going outside dressed as a woman for the first time. At least Heather would be with me, I thought, not thinking about the fact that I would be walking her home, which would entail leaving her there and walking home alone. Before going into the house, Heather said, Cara, I have been thinking about our relationship this evening, you wearing women's clothes and how you didn't stand up for me with your sister. Not only did you do nothing to stop her getting me to wear what I am now wearing, but you also did not get her to give back my favorite dress. I would even expect a girlfriend to do that. So not only have I decided that you are not the right boyfriend for me, but also that, if I were to date other girls, you would not be the right girlfriend either. This had never happened to me before. Heather was breaking up with me. I felt hot tears running down my cheeks. I am not a total bitch like your sister. Wait here a moment and I will get my dad to drive you home, Heather said, opening her front door. I wanted to say no, I would walk home alone, but I realized how vulnerable I would be and how it made more sense to agree, so I waited. Dad? Heather shouted. Could you drive my friend home? So this was it, not a boyfriend or girlfriend, but she wanted to still be friends? Maybe I could live with that. Heather's dad appeared with his car keys. Dad, Carrie broke up with me, but her sister Cara walked me home. Could you drive her back home? Heather asked. I've a good mind to say no because of how her brother treated you and how he did not even have the courtesy to walk you home. But it was very kind of Cara to walk you home, so I will drive her back. Why are you wearing a French maid's dress though? It's for a fancy dress party, Dad. I forgot to change back. Thanks, Dad. You know where they live, so I am going to bed. Good night, Kara, Heather said. As we drove, Heather's dad said, Carrie, I don't like when my daughter lies to me. I don't know what happened tonight, but she broke up with you, didn't she? I had no idea he knew who I was even as a boy, so I was surprised when he called me Carrie. How did you know? I said. It's pretty obvious. Heather told me that your sister was called Emma and your brother was called Andrew. She did not mention you had a sister called Kara. Kara is a feminized version of Carrie, and you have only just walked her home now. If you had broken up with her earlier, she would have called me to collect her, not stayed out all night. So the breakup must have just happened. Heather did not have mascara all over her face. You do. So she broke up with you, didn't she? Yes, I replied. She lied to me about the dress too, didn't she? Look, you don't need to answer that question. You seem like a nice girl, guy, but I know she really liked that dress, so you see what you can do to get whoever took it from her to give it back, and I will see what I can do to persuade her to go out with you again. I didn't raise a daughter to dump her boyfriend just because he might sometimes wear women's clothes, and I suspect that was really the reason why she dumped you, not the dress. I was up early the following morning and I had quickly put on clean lingerie before I had snuck into Emma's bedroom and grabbed Heather's dress, which was lying on her bedroom chair. I liked how it felt, and given that I had just spent my first day dressed as a maid, it had not seemed as odd to me as it would have done before to try Heather's dress on. First I did my makeup and then I put it on, and I was just admiring how I looked in it when I heard Emma starting to get up. She went to the bathroom. I realized that I had to act quickly if I was to get Heather's dress back to her. So I ran downstairs as quick as I could. I grabbed my keys and my phone and one of Mum's handbags. I had seen Mum's handbag lying around in the hallway. I put on my stilettos and ran out the door, still wearing Heather's dress. At that point it hit me that it would be daylight soon and people I knew might see me. I was determined, however, to get Heather's dress back to her. In doing so, I realized it would mean that I would be left in my lingerie and I would need to get back home without a change of clothes. I pulled out my phone and called Heather as I walked. Morning, Heather. I know you said that I wasn't the right boyfriend or girlfriend for you last night, but I am not a total bitch like my sister either. What? Heather had just woken up. Carrie? Is that you? Perhaps you had better call me Kara when you see how I am dressed, I replied as it dawned on me that unlike I would do as a guy, I was walking and talking on my phone at the same time. Listen, I know you dumped me last night, but I am bringing your dress back to you, but there's a problem. Oh, Heather said. I had hoped for a bit more like what's that, or what's the problem, but oh, it was at least a start, I told myself. I'm wearing it and I don't have a change of clothes, I added. Don't worry about that, I am sure I can sort something out, Heather replied. Eventually I got to her front door as the sun started to rise. Wow, Kara, Heather said, opening her front door. You look hotter than me in my dress. I guess that's inevitable given the speed you have walked here in your heels. I am glad you are committed to wearing women's clothing, as I am afraid I do not have any boy clothes for you to wear. Come up to my room and take off my dress. I did as I was told. This was my first time standing in front of my girlfriend in lingerie. Well, I would have expected her to be wearing lingerie, and she was, but I would not have been expecting to be wearing lingerie too. Heather had opened the door to me wearing a pink silk dressing gown which she had let fall to the ground as I took off her dress. We looked at each other. We were both almost naked apart from our silk bras and panties and our fishnet stockings and suspenders. Heather's bra and panties were black and mine were white. Unexpectedly, Heather took my head in her hands and kissed me. Something had changed, not just in Heather taking my head in her hands and kissing me, but in Heather in accepting me back as a boyfriend or girlfriend. It took a lot of nerve for you to come over dressed like this to bring my dress back to me, so don't worry, I won't send you back half naked, Heather said. And I was perhaps a bit too hasty last night. Yes, your sister is a bitch, but I had been wondering about getting you to dress in something not all that dissimilar to what you were wearing last night. So I actually bought this dress for you. Heather produced a dress like Andrea's, which I gratefully accepted. I half expected her to put her dress back on, but Heather explained that she would have to get it washed as she put on a beautiful black bodycon dress. Heather watched as I put on my dress and then tied the ribbon around my collar. Well, Kara, this seems to be becoming something of a habit. I wonder what you would look like in a habit? How do you feel about wearing women's clothes now? Heather said, admiring me. You're right, I am enjoying this, and I am wondering how easy it is going to be to dress as a guy again, I replied. So, we're not over? Not by a long shot, girlfriend. I'll walk you home, Heather said. Don't forget your handbag. Heather was glad to have her dress back and I was glad to have my girlfriend back, but why was glad to have me back and now calling me her girlfriend? Obviously, I was dressed as a girl, but yesterday Heather had been concerned about her reputation as a lesbian or as a girl who liked transvestites, but now she no longer seemed to care. A Maiden Journey, Part 5. So I get that you are happy to have your dress back, Heather, and I am pleased that you consider us an item again, even if you see me as your girlfriend rather than your boyfriend, but how come you are no longer worried about your reputation? I asked as we walked. I want to talk about how you are wondering how easy it is going to be to dress as a guy again. Are you really going to go back to uni dressed as a French maid? Heather replied. We were both silent for a while. I don't know, I replied. This is all very new to me, but it is like something has come alive in me. It feels like I am finally getting in touch with the real me. On my part, it was because this was new to me, getting in touch with my feelings and my feminine side. What was it I liked about the sensation of smooth silk lingerie and hosiery against my body as opposed to dull routine of boxer shorts and socks? It was true that I liked novelty and hated routine, and this was definitely new. But did that go all the way to explaining this? Was it that I enjoyed how smart a French maid's uniform looked compared to jeans and a t-shirt? Yes, a French maid's uniform was kinky, a male fantasy, extremely feminine and submissive, but what was it about being a man and becoming that submissive woman? Was it that I liked wearing and combining pink and white or black and white? Was it just that I liked showing off my legs? Or was it all of the above? But why was Heather silent? I cannot answer for her save that obviously she seemed to want me to answer first. For my part, Kara, this is all very new too, dating a boyfriend who dresses as a girlfriend. But the big issue for me yesterday was that the submissive girlfriend in a pink French maid's dress who wouldn't stand up for me. That was the deal breaker. But this morning you brought my dress back to me and are wearing the dress that I bought for you. It tells me that I matter to you and that you are prepared to wear what I want you to wear, Heather replied. But what about your reputation? I asked, not satisfied with her answer. Whilst I had been prepared to suffer the humiliation of dressing as a French maid yesterday to save my reputation, as I stood there being photographed by your sister and the further having my skirt flipped by her so her friends could photograph me in my underwear, it dawned on me that my reputation was already shot. So yes, I laughed and joined in with flipping your skirt so they could photograph you in your underwear. I understood that you, Kara, enjoy that humiliation, don't you? Heather challenged me. I had not thought of it that way. The words of Charlotte Gainsbourg from The Cement Garden, which Madonna sampled on What It Feel Like for a Girl, came back to me, and I am not sure if I actually gave voice to them or just heard them in my head. Girls can wear jeans and cut their hair short, wear shirts and boots because it's okay to be a boy, but for a boy to look like a girl is degrading, because you think that being a girl is degrading. But secretly you'd love to know what it's like, wouldn't you? What it feels like for a girl. But then I know I said, yes, I had not thought of it that way, Heather. I guess it is sort of humiliating, but I am not sure that I would want everyone to know that I was a boy and that I am now dressed like this, but having some people know definitely excites me. Come on, it's time we faced your sister, Heather said, ringing the doorbell before I could get the keys out of my handbag. Andrew opened the door. Or rather, thinking back on it, Andrea did. My sister was wearing boys' jeans and a boys' t-shirt, but there was something that was still feminine about her despite her male clothes. Morning, Heather, I love your dress, you look cute in your new dress too, Cara, Andrea said. As Andrew, he would have acknowledged me first and perhaps not even have acknowledged Heather, and certainly never commented on a girl's dress. Wait, how come you are no longer wearing a maid's outfit? I asked as I stood there in mine, feeling cheated that I was the only one of the three of us still dressed as a French maid. Relax, Cara, I am still a girl and wearing my lingerie under my male clothes. It's just that Emma told me that the dress I was wearing last night stank and my new outfit hasn't arrived yet, Andrea explained. It was then I noticed that despite wearing boys' clothes she had a VPL, and you could see that she was wearing a bra under her t-shirt. She was also wearing makeup, although her lipstick was more of a natural color than mine. Andrea went through to the kitchen, presumably to tidy up more of the mess from last night. I saw Emma then, but she did not acknowledge me and instead said to Heather, I see you got your dress back, and that I was obviously not the only one thinking of turning my brother Carrie into my sister Cara. You bought her that dress, right? Yes, I can't deny that I wondered what my boyfriend would look like dressed like a femboy, Heather said. Although I think she looks cuter in the more traditional black and white dress that I bought her than in that pink monstrosity that you put her in yesterday. I don't suppose I could persuade you to model a pink French maid's dress, Heather, if I happen to have one spare? Emma asked playfully, showing us the other French maid outfit she had bought, complete with wrist cuffs and cat's ears. That ship has sailed, Emma, and I will not be blackmailed by you into dressing as a French maid again, Heather said assertively. I might have been concerned about my reputation yesterday, but given that your friends have probably circulated pictures of your sisters and me all over the internet by now, it is no longer something that I am worried about. Fair enough, but it needs someone to wear it. How about your girlfriend? Emma teased. My girlfriend, your sister, is already wearing a French maid's dress that I picked out for her, Heather replied matter-of-factly. How about your other sister, Andrea? I saw how Heather had tried to turn Emma's attempt to shame her into wearing a French maid's dress by referring to me as her girlfriend, and was trying to get Emma to feel some element of shame about feminizing both of her brothers. It did not work. Emma was proud of feminizing both of us. I heard Andrea taking the rubbish out. No, I want Cara to think of herself as pretty in pink, not Andrea. But as you say, Cara is already wearing a French maid's dress, Emma replied. Andrea is getting to appreciate that she can still look pretty and feminine in boys' clothes. That way she will be less resistant to wearing the new dresses I buy her and going dress shopping with us. My student loan couldn't take it, I said quickly. Would I still feel like a girl if I was dressed like Andrea, I wondered? Don't worry, Cara, I told Dad that I needed some money to go dress shopping. I just didn't tell him who for, Emma said. I hoped Heather would spring to my defense and say that 2 dresses were enough for me, but instead I heard her say, well, although Cara might look pretty around the house in that new dress you showed us, I cannot go round with her all the time just wearing the maid's dresses that you and I bought her. Do I get a say in this? I asked, worried at how large my wardrobe of dresses was about to become. No, replied Heather and Emma in unison. I realized that I was about to have to accompany Heather and my sisters, dressed as a French maid, as we went dress shopping. As we left the house, although the four of us were all wearing lingerie, the only visible feminine item of clothing that all four of us were wearing were our stilettos. My sisters were both wearing androgynous jeans and t-shirts, and whilst Heather was at least wearing a dress, I was the only one of us in a French maid's dress. "Are you excited to be one of the girls going dress shopping, Andrea?" Heather enthusiastically asked my sister. "No," Andrea replied in a way that said, "Do not talk to me, Heather, I hate being dressed as a girl." "Andrea, be more polite to Kara's girlfriend," Emma warned. "Or you are going to end up with a bigger dress wardrobe than Kara." The first shop we went to was a department store where Emma picked out and bought a pink handbag for me, but she then let Andrea choose her own handbag, which was inevitably black, which obviously looked more masculine than mine. "You girls can't keep borrowing your mom's or my handbags all the time," Emma said by way of explanation. Next we went to the makeup counter where Heather helped Emma pick out the right makeup for each of our complexions, and Andrea and I had to pretend to be willing participants as the perfumery girl tested various colors that the girls picked out for us. Obviously by the time we finished, Andrea's black handbag and my pink handbags now each inevitably contained lipstick, lip gloss, a lip pencil, mascara, eyeliner, eyeshadow, foundation, and makeup brushes. We also had compact mirrors, and the girls had insisted on the sales assistants gluing false lashes onto our eyelids. Then we were onto a vintage dress shop, and before I knew what was happening I found myself being ushered out the back to the changing rooms with a pink underskirt in my hands, which Emma insisted that I tried on. This was the first time since we were small children when Mum used to take us swimming that I had found myself in a ladies' changing room, yet alone in a dress shop. I looked at myself in the mirror as I undid the ribbon of the collar of my dress and unzipped my dress and let it slide down to my knees before carefully stepping out of it and hanging it on the coat hook. There was my reflection dressed in my pink bra and panties, and my pink suspenders and my white seam stockings. So this is what it had come to? I was a 20-year-old young man, and I used to be sure of my gender identity, but here I was in a ladies' changing room in a dress shop. It did not feel unnatural to me to be dressed like this, and nobody could say looking at me that I looked as out of place. I looked and was dressed like a girl. I had now come to accept and think of myself as being to all intents and purposes a girl. So what's the harm in stepping into this pink ruffled underskirt? As I stepped into it I realized that I had to tie a bow in the pink ribbon at the back, which was something like a belt, or rather an apron. As I looked at how the dress made me look, it dawned on me that it was possible for Emma to make me look and feel more feminine than I already did in either of the maid's dresses I had worn so far. Did girls ever really wear underskirts like this? I started to play with my underskirt, forgetting that my top half was only covered by my bra when Emma arrived with a dress she wanted me to put on. Naturally it was pink and it just about covered my underskirt. Emma helped me put on the dress and I said, "I don't think I would be out of place in hairspray in this, Emma." "No, you look quite the doll and I think it really suits you, Kara," Emma said. Not to be outdone, however, Heather soon appeared with a black underskirt in her hands and, unzipping my pink dress, said, "Well, Emma, I think Kara would look cute in this." In no time Heather had undone the bow of my pink underskirt and had got me to step out of it and into a black underskirt that she wanted me to wear. "I feel like my name is now Aurora with all these changing dress colors, and then I am wearing a tent," I said, thinking of the scene in Sleeping Beauty when the fairy godmothers keep changing Aurora's dress color. Heather was undeterred by my comment and had soon returned with an Audrey Hepburn dress she wanted me to wear. This dress buttoned up in front, so having undone it, Heather left me to put it on myself and to do up the buttons and belt myself. "What do you think of your sister in her new dress?" Heather asked Emma. "You're right, Heather, it's very Audrey Hepburn and it really suits Kara." "Like it was made for her," Emma replied. "We might have to start calling her Holly." "Yes, I thought it was very Breakfast at Tiffany's too, although her dress in that film is a bit different," Heather replied. Emma paid for both dresses and underskirts, insisting that I wore my Audrey Hepburn dress that Heather had picked out for me and the underskirt. I noticed that the sales assistant was wearing a dress like mine and also wearing an underskirt. Then Emma added, "Andrea is going to be disappointed though, as we're out of cash for now." Andrea did not look disappointed but rather smug, with only a handbag and makeup kit from this shopping trip, as I was now wearing my dress and carrying 2 bags from the dress shop, one containing my French maid's dress and the other containing my new pink dress and underskirt. I appreciated, however, now being allowed to dress like a normal girl, even if that was a normal girl from the 1960s. When we got home, I saw that Andrea had washed our maid's outfits from the previous evening and that they had now dried. "Andrea, take off your ridiculous t-shirt and jeans and put your maid's outfit back on," Emma told her. "Girls, let's sort out Kara's wardrobe," Emma said, picking up a bin bag. I knew what this meant as we went into my room. Emma had already emptied half of my sock drawer to accommodate my stockings and tights. As my underwear drawer needed to accommodate my bras, panties, and suspenders, I had very few pairs of boxer shorts left. Emma took great delight in showing this to Heather. "What charming underwear you have, Kara. I would like a souvenir of my straight boyfriend," Heather said before removing a pair of my boxer shorts and putting them in her handbag. "Andrea, come here," Emma shouted. My sister appeared in her French maid's outfit. "Take Kara's new French maid's outfit that Heather bought it and wash it. Then bring her pink one back here," Emma instructed her before turning to me and saying, "Now Kara, there is not enough space in your wardrobe for all of your new clothes, which is why I have brought this bin bag. I will let you pick out 4 pairs of trousers to go to the charity shop with their hangers, as you will have to leave enough room for at least 2 dresses and an underskirt. Here are your new dress hangers." As Carrie, I would have objected to doing this, but I was dressed like Audrey Hepburn and did not think of myself as a boy anymore, but as a girl with a need to create more space in my wardrobe. I filled the bag and hung up my new dresses with Heather's help. "Come on, Andrea, you and I are going to the charity shop with your sister's old clothes," Emma said, and I watched my sister take her first steps outside in a French maid's dress. I guess because she had already been outside in her stilettos, Andrea looked more confident than I had expected her to. "Do you think of yourself as a girl now, Kara?" Heather asked as I fixed my lipstick in my bedroom mirror. "I am struggling to see the girl in the mirror as anything but a girl," I replied. "Do you think of me as a girl? They say that the closer something or someone gets to you, the harder it is for you to see it or them," Heather replied somewhat cryptically. "What that's supposed to mean?" I asked, genuinely puzzled by her response. "Well, I saw you as my boyfriend until I saw the boy in the pink dress, but now I am not sure. I guess that I should see you as what you seem to want to present as, and that seems to be as a girl." "Do you want me to see you as a girl?" Heather replied cautiously. Facing this question, I found myself asking myself, had I crossed the Rubicon? I really did not know. I still had a wardrobe largely filled with boys' clothes save for a couple of dresses, but I was running out of male underwear, and as I mentioned before, Heather had just removed one of the few pairs of boxer shorts that I had left. It was like I was becoming a girl by stealth. I thought of Andrea and how Emma had allowed her to put on her male clothes over her lingerie. However, with a VPL and her bra showing under her t-shirt and her face made up, Andrea had, despite wearing a t-shirt and jeans over her lingerie and stilettos, still looked like a girl during our shopping trip. "Take a bra and panty set from my underwear drawer if you see me as your boyfriend, or take another pair of my boxer shorts if you see me as your girlfriend," I said, opening my drawer. Heather removed both of the remaining pairs of boxer shorts. "Hey," I said, "remove a pair." I protested, but I made no effort to take either pair back. "I took both pairs, Kara, because I see you as more of a girly girl than your sister Andrea. She's a tomboy. She needs to look a bit masculine sometimes. But you're not just a girl, you are a girly girl. You look better and more comfortable in a dress than Andrea does, Kara. You need to wear a dress all the time and I like you in a dress. I found my head in her hands as she kissed me and my mind wrestled with the concept of my brother as a tomboy. A girl who liked to dress like a boy. But Heather had also said she saw me as a girl, as after all she had called me a girly girl and taken all that remained of my male underwear. So, Heather, you are saying that you actually see me as a girl now? I asked. Obviously. There's no one who could look at you and see anything else, Kara. You need to accept that you are a girl now, Heather replied. At that point, I heard the keys in the front door and assumed my sisters had come home until I heard Mum call out, "Kids, we're home." I froze. Relax, Kara, you're a girl now, Heather said gently before calling out, "We're up here." There was nowhere to hide. A Maiden Journey, Part 9. Channel your inner Audrey Hepburn. Audrey is confident, Heather said gently to me as Mum came up the stairs. I could hear Dad unloading the car. Mum came into my room. "Hello, Heather," Mum said. "Who do you have with you and what are you both doing in Carrie's room?" "Mum, it's me," I said. I could see Mum was struggling for a moment to associate my voice with the girl in front on her. "Carrie?" Mum said before bursting out laughing. Was this Heather's idea? No, Mum, it was Emma's, but my outfit was Heather's idea, I said. You mean you have other girls' clothes? Mum said, sounding concerned. Just a couple of dresses, Mum, I said, trying to sound like it was no big deal. Mrs. Whitney, you have to understand that Kara sees herself as a girl now. And she's Kara now, not Carrie, Heather interrupted. Kara? Oh, I see. Tell me, Kara, what else has changed? Does Emma see herself as a boy? And Andrew see himself as a girl? Mom asked gently. Well, no, I replied. Emma doesn't see herself as a boy, but as for Andrea, you will have to ask her. Heather thinks she's a bit of a tomboy. Andrea? So he does? I often wondered what it would have been like if I had 3 girls around the house instead of 2 boys and a girl. I guess I am about to find out, Mum said pensively before shouting down at Dad, who had just finished unloading the car and put it in the garage. Steve, could you come up to Carrie's room for a minute? Yes, Layla, what is it? I heard Dad call as he climbed the stairs and come into my room. Hello, Heather, where's Carrie, and who is this other girl you have with you? Mr. Whitney, this is your daughter Kara, Heather said. You and I both know I don't have a daughter called Kara, Dad said, laughing before adding with a note of concern in his voice. Wait, what are you telling me? Dad looked at me carefully. Then I realized that he had read me and he had a look of horror on his face. Carrie! What the hell are you doing dressed like Audrey Hepburn? Steve, that's no way to speak to our daughter. Mum tried to sound shocked, but at the same time you could see that she was laughing at Dad's reaction. Carrie, get out of that dress and make up this instant, Dad said angrily. Kara, you will do no such thing, Mum said more calmly but equally assertively as she took me by the hand. Let's go downstairs and wait for Emma and our other child, and then we will have a chat. Mum had not let on that she knew about Andrea yet, but Dad was about to find out about her, as I had just heard my sisters opening the front door. I am not sure who looked more shocked, Andrea in her French maid's dress on finding out that Mum and Dad were home, or Dad on realizing that both of his sons were now dressed as women. The rest of us held our collective breath for a moment. Kara said that Heather thought you were a bit of a tomboy, Mum laughed. I can't say that I would describe the only one of my daughters who is presently dressed as a French maid as a bit of a tomboy. Andrea blushed. Scarlett! Stop this nonsense. We don't have 3 daughters, we have 2 sons and a daughter, Dad said angrily, trying to argue for Andrea and me to be defined by our birth genders. Well, you seem to be the only one of us who thinks so, Steve, Mum replied calmly, pointing out the visible weakness of Dad's argument. I think it's time you got in touch with your feminine side too. Don't be ridiculous, Dad said with a note of panic in his voice, as if realizing it was no longer just our masculinity that was being brought into question but also his own. Let's see if we can quickly get to the bottom of this and resolve how to proceed. Tell me, Andrea, did you choose the dress you are wearing or was it chosen for you? Mom asked. Emma bought it for me, Andrea replied truthfully. And would you have chosen that dress for yourself? Mom asked. Well, that sort of depends, Andrea answered. Depends on what, dear? Come on, spit it out, Mum said. Whether you are saying would I have chosen to wear my black French maid's dress over Cara's pink one or Heather's blue one, or whether you are saying would I have chosen to wear a French maid's dress at all, Andrea stated. I see, Mum resumed. Would I be right in saying Emma got both of her siblings and Heather to wear French maid's dresses? Yes, Mum, Emma said proudly. Mum seemed to almost ignore this last answer as she turned back to Andrea and said, So Andrea, if I was asking you whether you would have chosen to wear a French maid's dress at all, what would you have answered? No, I would not, Andrea responded. Dad smiled and clenched his fist like his team had just scored a goal. And what about your dress, Cara? Who bought it for you? Mom asked. Heather and Emma bought it for me, I replied. And would you have chosen it yourself? Mom asked. Yes, if they had given me a chance to, I replied, and watched the look on Dad's face and the ghost of a smile on Mum's. Stevie, I think we should take our daughters shopping tomorrow, Mum said triumphantly. Heather, you are welcome to come along too. I think only I noticed Mum's use of the androgynous form of Dad's name. It seemed to me at the time that Emma had clearly given Mum an idea. Andrew and our daughters, Dad said, giving up on me to femininity and the thought of me ever dressing as a boy again, but clinging desperately to the idea that my sister and I had forced Andrew to dress as a girl and that really he did not want to. Very well, Stevie, let's have a little bet. Let's see what Andrea chooses to buy for herself tomorrow. If you are right that she still sees herself as a boy and wants to dress as one, you have nothing to worry about. But if Andrea is not such a tomboy as Heather suggested, we may need to reconsider the role of the patriarch of this family and whether it is time that you explored your feminine side too, Mum said. But whilst Andrea can pick out whatever she wants to wear tomorrow, she had better not take off her dress before I get some pictures of my daughters. Mum had the 3 of us pose for pictures, mainly of Andrea standing in her uniform and serving us, sitting down, with cups of water, but also of the 3 of us standing together. I knew that Dad, who had been horrified at seeing me in a dress, was clinging to the hope that my sister Andrea did not see herself as a girl like the rest of us. Dad was a man's man, and his mind rejected the notion that he had not modeled masculinity in such a way that both of his sons would actually reject it altogether and want to identify as girls. Okay, Dad must have told himself, there are always odd kids like Cara, but surely Andrew still saw himself as a boy? Why else would Heather call him a tomboy? The next day I picked out my pink dress and did my makeup before going to wake my sister Andrea. Andrea, should Dad be worried? I asked as I watched her put on her bra and a clean pair of panties. Andrea smiled. Were you worried when Emma first put you in a dress? Well, no, of course not. I was excited, I replied. Precisely, so why should Dad be worried? Andrea smiled, picking out a pair of jeans and a t-shirt. Are you going to pick out boys' clothes or girls' clothes? I asked Andrea as she shaved. Watch me, Andrea replied before applying her eyeshadow. I have a feeling I know the answer, I said as I had seen she was wearing lingerie and was going to do her makeup. Heather had arrived by the time Andrea came downstairs. Andrea's makeup was flawless and she was wearing fishnets under her jeans, so it was pretty obvious that Andrea had no intention of dressing as a boy, despite wearing Andrew's jeans and t-shirt. You could see Dad's head sink as he had clearly seen which way the wind was blowing before Andrea had even put on her stilettos. He was silent as we got in the car and he let Mum drive us to the local shopping center. Dad always drove. We reached the department store where Emma had bought our handbags. Come on girls, it's time to go dress shopping, Dad said, leading the way to the dress section. Oh, Steffi, have you conceded defeat already? Mom said. Andrea hasn't even made her choice yet. But it did not take Andrea long to pick out a dress. That's gorgeous, Mum said as Dad paid for it, and neither of them seemed at all surprised when Andrea insisted on wearing it. For my part, given that Heather had said she thought Andrea was a bit of a tomboy, I was however a bit surprised when Andrea told the sales assistant to throw away her old pair of jeans and t-shirt when the sales assistant offered to Andrea to put her old clothes in a bag. So Heather was wrong? You're a girly girl like me? I asked. Well, Kara, I like the idea of wearing jeans and a t-shirt, but not such obviously masculine trousers with flies down the front, and not the sort of t-shirt that won't show a bit of my cleavage, Andrea replied, smiling at me in her new dress. My dad was now the last man standing in what had now become a family where women were in the majority. So Steffi, it seems that the man of the house has lost his bet, Mum said. Let's start with your foundation garments. I didn't agree to this, Dad said as we led him to the lingerie section and Mum started picking out shapewear. You lost the bet and our daughter clearly all identify as girls, so it's not for you to agree to anything but to do what we tell you to, Mum said. Before Dad knew it, Emma had thrust a body into his hands that Mum had picked out, and Mum had asked the sales assistant for some breast forms which she now had in her hands. Emma, go with Andrea to pick out some nice clothes for Steffi, whilst Heather sorts out some makeup and Kara and I help Steffi get dressed, Mum directed as she gave Emma Dad's wallet and gave Heather her purse. Come now, Steffi, surely you must have wondered sometimes what it would be like to dress as a girl? Especially now there are 2 new girls in our family? Mum said, leading him reluctantly to the women's changing room with me. Well, maybe Scarlett, I might have wondered what it would be like to wear women's clothes at some point, but guys like me just do not do this. I am not doing this, Dad said as Mum and I backed him into the cubicle. Would you have said our sons are guys like you? Mum challenged him whilst signaling to me to get Dad's t-shirt off him. Dad tried to stop me taking off his t-shirt, but in doing so failed to prevent Mum unzipping his trousers and pulling them down to his ankles. Now step out of your trousers, Steffi, it's time you stopped pretending to be a man and became the woman you were meant to be, Mum instructed. At that point the fight seemed to go out of Dad and I was able to get his t-shirt off him without any further resistance, and he let Mum take his jeans off. Dad had only his socks and boxer shorts on. Mum handed Dad's jeans and t-shirt to me and ushered me out, whispering, "Throw them away," and let me get him out of his boxer shorts and socks and into his body in some privacy. By the time I had done Mum's bidding, Dad was wearing his body and he was cupping his chest in his hands. Don't worry, she'll get used to her breasts in a minute, Mum told me. I remembered when Emma put my breast forms into my first bra. I looked at my dad in his first lingerie. I was impressed at how it feminized the shape of his body and noticed that his legs, arms and chest were hairless. Did you just shave Dad too whilst I was disposing of his t-shirt and jeans? I whispered to Mum as Dad was still admiring himself in the mirror. Don't be daft. I wouldn't have had time to. I dared Steffi to get waxed whilst we were on holiday. Mum whispered back. I only had time to glue on her breasts and get her to put on her body. I watched as Andrea arrived with a pair of fishnet tights and pink stilettos for Dad. Dad needed no further prompting and quickly ripped his tights out of the packet himself and had rolled them up his legs before Mum could tell him how to do so. Steffi was soon standing in her stilettos. Although this was my dad we were talking about, she reminded me of Madonna in the Open Your Heart video. Emma then arrived with a pink dress that was not too dissimilar to the dress she had put me in yesterday and helped Dad step into it before helping zip him into it. Andrea and Emma went to look for Heather. Apart from his face, my dad now looked like a woman and not that dissimilar to how I must have looked when Emma first put me in my French maid's dress, although Steffi was wearing a dress like the one I was wearing now. Steffi was admiring herself in the mirror and twirling around. A thought dawned on me which I found myself giving voice to. You planned all of this with Emma, didn't you, Mom? I might have done, Mom responded begrudgingly. Steffi was about to have her first makeover as the girls arrived with her makeup and an auburn wig. Steffi let the girls give her makeover and Mum take pictures before trying to unzip her dress and turning to Mum and saying, "Okay, Scarlett, how do I get out of this and back into my clothes?" Steffi, don't be ridiculous. You are wearing your clothes and your breasts are glued on. You are going to have to get used to being one of the girls. Besides, we threw away your jeans and t-shirt just like we did with Andrea's. You mean I am going to have to leave this changing room dressed like this? Steffi said nervously. Well, unless you want to leave wearing only your lingerie, honey, Mum replied. Steffi, as Dad was now called, looked nervously at Mum. Well, I would prefer to leave this dressing room fully dressed to only wearing lingerie, but I did not expect to face the outside world dressed as a woman at all. What if there is someone from work outside who recognizes me, Scarlett? Is it because you are now dressed as a woman that you feel the need to be ridiculous, Steffi? Mom asked. Because you don't look ridiculous in your pink Audrey Hepburn dress. In fact, looking at how cute you look, I do not know why I had not thought to dress you as a woman before. Well, I do feel ridiculous because men don't dress like this, Steffi said. Steffi, you do not look like a man anymore and I can't think of you as my dad, let alone call you dad dressed as you are, I said. I had not realized Heather and Emma had gone, but Heather appeared with a new pink dress and I whispered to her, I thought you preferred black and Emma preferred pink. Was this your idea or hers? Heather whispered back to me, I prefer you in black, but your sister and I both thought your dad would look good in this. It would help push him down the maiden journey. Emma's just getting Steffi a push-up bra which won't need straps like the body she's wearing now. Hey, that's my dad you are calling she? I whispered back, pretending to be offended. Emma appeared with a pink strapless pink push-up bra and matching panties which she handed to Steffi. Well, you were a man, Steffi, but I see that Heather has brought a new dress for you to try on and our daughter has brought you some new lingerie. Face it, you are going to leave this shop wearing one dress or another, so let's talk about this. Do you feel like you are no longer a man? Mom smiled, leading Dad into the cubicle and drawing the curtain whilst we waited outside. I think that my masculinity is definitely now in question now, Scarlett. I had thought it would feel unnatural and weird for me to wear clothing like the clothing that I am now wearing, and I wondered how our daughters were not repulsed by wearing women's clothing like the dress I am now wearing. But I don't anymore, but I can't go around in just these two pink dresses. We are going to have to go on a bit of a shopping binge, Steffi said. Wow, look at you, girlfriend. You look like a Disney princess, 30 minutes in two dresses and you're not looking back. I knew I could make a woman of you, Mum said triumphantly at having now turned all her men into girls. Mom pulled back the curtain. We had two mothers now. Steffi had caught my sister and I up on our maiden journeys.